Alright, so welcome back to another Taikenzor tutorial. If you're on this video, you should probably look at part 1 so that you don't get confused with what's going on. So before we did the design, so now we're going to look at the effects. Now, of course, you can't really see your effects in using Toon Animate Pro or Harmony without going on the render view. So I'm going to hit the render view just so we can see what's going on, because we want to add some effects to this now. Now for the vortex itself, um, what I really want to add is just a glow, maybe a blur, but we're going to need the network view as well as the module library. So this is my network. Right. So here's my network, my peg, my drawing, the composite. So over in the module library, I'll just look for the filter glow. Check that over here. And probably a blur radial. So let's drag those two here. And what I want to do is I want to make this glow. So it's up to you how you want to do this. So if you know how the glow works, you'll know that if your drawing goes directly into the glow, it turns your actual drawing into a glow. So we don't really want that. We actually want the drawing itself to glow. So what I'm going to do is take the drawing input and stick it through the glow and put the glow back to the composite. You notice it gets a little brighter now. So what I want to do instead of this is I don't want to use it like that. So I'm going to go to the glow properties. And so what I have is glow. I have no radius yet, so I'm going to increase this to like 20. You might notice a small glow over on the vortex here, but you also have multiplicative, which means you can multiply your effects on it. This is it without it. This is it with the multiplicative. But I don't want to use multiplicative. I actually want to use source color, which will do something like this for me. Now that looks more vivid and beautiful, right? So apart from that, I think I'll add the blur to this. So I can just put the blur right through there and increase the radius, probably about 5. We don't want it too much. So this is what I have now as my vortex. Now we want to see what this looks like. You can just click on a certain frame and see how it goes as it rotates through, because it has to render each frame. So I think this looks fairly okay. Alright, so the other thing I want to do is add something like a particle, like kind of swinging into it. So I'm just going to group this stuff here, the vortex, as a group. So just right click this, all those that are selected, go to group, choose group with composite. So now I can see everything inside here by itself. So go back to the top, and this is our vertex group. So what I want to do now is to add a particle, and I'm going to just make one particle and just duplicate it and change its path. So I'm going to need a new drawing. So let's create a new drawing. We'll call it particle, and we'll start, of course, here. So what I want is a simple little circle, this little white circle. So Shift and Alt. If it's too big, you can always reduce the size. I think this is a little huge. Just zoom in a bit and shrink it. So what I want is for this to just get swallowed in like so. So I'm going to change this pivot point And also for this particle, since I'm not going to be using a peg, there's something you need to know about the layer properties of a drawing that you add, is that you have two types of positions. You have separate and you have 3D path. Now separate works, this is working with the key frames. If I had, say for example, 3 keyframes and I have the path going from, say, here to here, it will do everything in a straight line. So if I came from here to here and then here, it will do a straight line. But if I had it, that's separate. But if it was in 3D, it would try to do a curve through each point. Now that's exactly what I want to do, because it would seem more natural. So I put as 3D path. Why? So that I can do something like this. Now, first, I'm going to extend the timeline to about 50 or even 40. So I want my particle to start here. So I'll add a keyframe and say about frame 30. I want the particle to go through the vortex. Now let's see how that looks. Let's put it on something else. So it kind of looks like it's going through the portal. Reason being is because if you look at the top view, you'll see that this little purple line here is this particle. And of course this, so what happens is that it goes through the drawing itself. So that's pretty okay for us. So now that I have a particle going through, I can actually edit the path of it. So say for example, I can choose to move this. Say, let's start from the top and it comes through here. Now I can show my control and it shows a straight line. Now a shortcut you can use is P. If you don't know that one, you can go insert and control point. It'll insert a control point for you. What I want to do is hit P at the point where I want to add a control point, and I'll just curve it down as I see fit. So now that I have that, my little particle here will go in a curve. Right? Now that's good. But I also want to do something more amazing with this particle. Because right now it's just, well, a plain boring little circle. No offense to the particle. But let's do something cool. We're going to be making this have a trail. So we're going to be using 3 modules. We're going to be using the glow. We're going to be using the motion blur, and we're going to be using transparency. So we kind of want it to fade in, and then so we grab transparency, we grab motion blur, and we also want to grab the glow module. So these 3 are going to help us out. So let's get to the camera view so we can see what's going on. So of course the particle itself is going to go through some of these. Now particle goes to the composite. I'm going to put this all in a composite for itself. Control H is the shortcut. Apart from that, you can go to the module library, choose favorites, and grab composite. So I'll stick this here. And particle is going to have a glow. So put the glow in the front. I want to put the motion blur in the dot here. You notice that little dot here. Yeah, that means the drawing input goes there. Another drawing could go here too, but that one actually I think has to do with how it's shown. But just sticking it on there, it just does it simply for you. So motion blur goes to the back, and you'll notice I have a trail now. So I'll just change the properties of the glow and probably carry this to like say 7, and of course use source color because it comes out a lot brighter. So that's okay. And now we have transparency. We slide that in, kind of fades up there. But for the transparency, I'm going to actually animate the properties of it. See this plus? So what I want the transparency to do is it's going to be at 100 from the beginning. So that means it's completely transparent. And probably about 10 it goes down to 0. So it kind of fades in now. So it fades in. And as it goes through that portal, it fades away. So now that we have one particle, let's go through that again. It fades in. It comes, flies, follows the trail, goes through the portal, gets sucked in, and fades out. That's fine for us. So I'm gonna just group this as a group. So right click, group, group selection, and so this group here, I'll just rename it particle G, close, and I'm just going to copy it some more and just edit the timeline of it. So right click, duplicate selected layers, there's clone and there's duplicate. Duplicate actually makes a complete duplication, treats it as a different drawing. Clone, it's like treating them the same way. If we change in one, it will affect the other one. So I'll just do duplicate. So now I have particle G1. What I'm going to do is to change the timeline. So I'll just move it along with all its transparency and all. We already did one particle, so I'll just change it like so. You'll notice that two pops up now. They're going in the same exact direction, and they both fade in and fade out, or fade in rather. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to just change the path of the newer one. So for this one, I'm just going to have to move this, say, probably coming from the bottom, or even from here, and its last position, I want to go into that properties there, and that's fine. But when I choose the show controls, you'll notice that it curves up like so. Why? Because we have the path, we inserted a point, so we have to edit the point too. So I'm going to go to my transform tool and just bring this down like so, so that we have one coming that way, one going that way, and that's all I have to do. And we just duplicate this again, particle G1, duplicate the selected layer, make another one for G2, and we just change up the path for that one too. So we're just going to change the timing of this yet again. So let's change the direction. Sorry. So let's hide the others for now. This one we have coming from down here, and where does it end up? We know where we want it. So So I get swallowed too. And so don't kind of swirls around too much. So we're gonna have to change the path for that particle too. G. So let's look at the path again. Transform, grab our point, and just change it. And maybe for one from the top, we could do another one. So it's up to you how much you want to put in there. You can always change the shape of the particles if you don't like it. That's fine. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to put them in the comments below. You can also share, like, subscribe. I'm just gonna render this out so you can see what the final product will be like. Of course, this is gonna take a while, so let's just jump through time, shall we? So let's see how this comes up. So that's what it looks like. It would be nice if we put some more particles closer to the end, so it just keeps going and going. So let's put this on loop and play it out. And that is the end of us making a portal. So like I said before, if you got any problems, just voice your concerns. And I thank you once again for watching, for subscribing, for liking, for sharing. So thanks again, take care, and God bless you.